The invitation sat on Natalie's desk like an accusation. Cream paper, gold embossing, her mother's handwriting at the bottom, "Please don't break my heart again." 28 years old, senior marketing director, and still being auctioned off like livestock. Natalie crushed the card in her fist. The Golden Lotus Restaurant. Saturday at 7. Another suitable bachelor, another performance, another disappointment for her traditional parents who couldn't understand why their daughter chose spreadsheets over grandchildren. Her phone buzzed. Mia's text lit up the screen, "Emergency coffee." Now. 20 minutes later, Mia practically vibrated across the table at their usual cafe, her eyes wild with excitement. The Westfield account. "We got it." Natalie's heart stuttered. "What?" "Ethan Westfield himself is coming to our office Monday. Campaign launch. You'll finally meet your 6-year obsession in person." The coffee turned bitter in Natalie's mouth. Ethan Westfield. 34, billionaire CEO, the man she'd watched from shadows and screens since she was 22. His TED Talks played on repeat in her apartment. His interviews were bookmarked on her laptop. He represented everything she wanted to become: brilliant, independent, uncompromising. "I'm not obsessed," Natalie lied. "You're delusional." Mia leaned forward. "This is fate, Nat. Your dream man, your dream career moment. He doesn't know I exist. Yet." Saturday arrived like an execution date. Natalie stared at her reflection in the navy dress her mother would approve of. Hair down. Makeup subtle. The perfect daughter costume. Golden Lotus smelled like ginger and memory. Her childhood lived in these walls, homework in corner booths, her father's calloused hands teaching her to fold dumplings. Now it felt like a beautiful trap. Her parents waited by the entrance, pressed clothes and desperate hope. Behind them stood a woman dripping in jewelry, and beside her, a man in a tailored suit. Not just any man. Ethan Westfield turned, and the world tilted sideways. Those eyes. She'd seen them in keynote speeches and Forbes covers, but never imagined they'd look directly at her. Never imagined they'd widen with the same shock currently freezing her lungs. "Natalie," her mother gushed, oblivious. "This is Mrs. Westfield and her son Ethan. Ethan, this is our daughter." The silence stretched like pulled glass. "We've met," Ethan said quietly, and Natalie's brain short-circuited because that was impossible. They'd never met, she would have remembered. "You have?" Her mother's voice pitched higher. "Not formally." His gaze never left Natalie's face. "But I've noticed you." The dinner blurred. Mrs. Westfield's pointed questions about career plans and grandchildren. Her mother's eager responses. Her father's uncomfortable silence. And Ethan, watching her like she was a puzzle he'd been trying to solve for years. "Your mother tells me you work in marketing," Mrs. Westfield said, her tone suggesting she'd said sewage management. "I'm a senior director at Catalina Digital." Natalie's voice came out steadier than she felt. "How lovely." "Of course, Ethan needs a wife who understands that his work comes first. Someone who can support him properly, perhaps scale back her own ambitions." The words landed like a slap. "Mother." Ethan's voice cut sharp. "That's enough. I'm just saying what needs to be said. These modern girls with their careers, they don't understand marriage requires sacrifice." Maybe, Natalie heard herself say, marriage should require sacrifice from both people. Not just the woman. The table went silent. Her mother's face paled. Mrs. Westfield's expression could have frozen fire. But Ethan smiled. Actually smiled, and something in his eyes looked almost like relief. "Excuse us," he said, standing abruptly. "Natalie and I need some air." Before anyone could protest, his hand was on her elbow, guiding her through the restaurant and out into the cool night. They walked half a block in silence, the city lights painting shadows across his face. "You really don't remember me, do you?" he asked finally. "We've never met. Tech Vision Conference, 6 years ago. You were in the front row, taking notes on an actual notebook, not a laptop. You asked the last question of my keynote. Something about ethical responsibility in AI development." Natalie's breath caught. She remembered. God, she remembered every second of that day. "You remember that?" "I remember you." He stopped walking, turned to face her fully. "You were the only person who asked a question that mattered. Everyone else wanted stock tips or networking opportunities. You wanted to know if I'd thought about the human cost of progress. I was nobody. You were real." His jaw tightened. "Do you know how rare real is in my world? Is that why you're here? Why you agreed to this arranged marriage circus?" Something flickered in his expression. Pain, maybe. Or regret. "My mother's been arranging these dinners for 2 years. I say yes to shut her up, show up for an hour, and leave. But tonight." He stepped closer. "Tonight I saw your name on her list and I thought maybe." "Maybe what?" "Maybe the universe doesn't hate me after all." Natalie's phone buzzed. A text from her mother: "Where are you? Mrs. Westfield is very upset." "We should go back," she said, not moving. "We should run," Ethan countered. "My car's 2 blocks away. Let me take you somewhere we can actually talk. No mothers, no expectations. Just us. This is insane. We don't know each other. I've known you for 6 years, Natalie. I just never had the courage to approach you." His hand lifted, almost touching her face, then dropped. 1 hour. That's all I'm asking. If you hate every second, I'll drive you home and we'll tell our parents we're completely incompatible. She should say no. Should walk back into that restaurant and play the dutiful daughter. But his eyes held something she recognized because she felt it too: loneliness wrapped in success, hunger for something real in a world of transactions. 1 hour, she whispered. His smile could have lit the city. They were halfway to his car when her phone exploded with calls. Her mother, Mrs. Westfield, even her father. Natalie silenced them all. Ethan's Mercedes was sleek and black, expensive enough to fund a small country. He drove in silence through the downtown streets, and Natalie's heart hammered against her ribs. This was reckless. Stupid. Everything she'd spent her life avoiding. It felt like flying. He pulled into an underground parking garage, led her to a private elevator. The doors opened onto a penthouse that overlooked the entire city, floor-to-ceiling windows framing the glittering skyline. "This is your place?" "One of them." He moved to the kitchen, started making coffee with practiced ease. "I bought it 3 years ago. Come here when I need to think." Natalie walked to the windows, pressed her hand against the cool glass. "Why me, Ethan? Really?" He was quiet for so long she thought he wouldn't answer. Then. "Because you looked at me like I was human. Not a bank account or a business opportunity or a trophy. Human." He brought her the coffee, their fingers brushing. "Do you know how addictive that is? How dangerous?" "Dangerous?" "I spent 6 years thinking about the woman from the conference. 6 years building her into someone perfect in my mind. And now you're here, real, and so much better than any fantasy." His voice dropped. "That terrifies me." "Why?" "Because I'm not who you think I am, Natalie. I'm not the man from those speeches and interviews. I'm..." He turned away, shoulders rigid. "I'm broken. And people who get close to me get hurt. Everyone's broken. Not like this." She should leave. Every instinct screamed at her to walk away from whatever darkness haunted him. But instead, she set down her coffee and crossed the space between them. Tell me, she said. Tell me why you're broken. He looked at her, and in his eyes she saw something that made her throat close: fear. My father, he said finally. He built Westfield Tech from nothing. Brilliant man. Visionary. Also a monster who embezzled $50 million from his own company, destroyed countless lives, and killed himself when the FBI came knocking. His voice went flat. I inherited his empire and his sins. Every day I wonder if I'm him. If that poison is in my blood. The words hung between them like smoke. You're not your father. You don't know that. I know you remembered a girl who asked one question 6 years ago. I know you shut down your mother when she tried to tell me what to do with my career. I know you're standing here, terrified, because you actually care about not hurting people. She reached up, touched his face. That's not a monster, Ethan. That's just a man. His hand covered hers, pressed it against his cheek. Stay tonight, he whispered. Not 4. Just stay. Talk to me. Let me be human for a few more hours. She should say no. Should run back to her safe, controlled life. But looking at him, she saw her own loneliness reflected back, the same desperate hunger for connection in a world that demanded performance over truth. Okay, she breathed. Okay. His kiss tasted like coffee and confession, gentle and desperate all at once. Natalie melted into it, into him, 6 years of secret longing finally unleashed. They stumbled toward the couch, hands exploring, breath ragged. Her phone buzzed again. And again. And again. Ethan pulled back, rested his forehead against hers. They're not going to stop. I know. This is going to be complicated. I know that too. But you're staying anyway? She kissed him again, softer this time. I'm staying. They talked until sunrise. About dreams and scars, ambition and fear, the weight of expectations and the price of success. Natalie told him about growing up between two cultures, always too American for her parents and too Chinese for everyone else. Ethan told her about building an empire on his father's grave, never sure if he was honoring or atoning. I haven't felt this in years, he said as dawn painted the windows gold. This. Present. Me neither. What happens Monday? When you come to my office for the campaign launch? We pretend this never happened. Stay professional. And after? I don't know. She turned to face him fully. My parents are going to lose their minds. Your mother already hates me. This could destroy everything we've both worked for. Or, he said, pulling her closer, it could be the best mistake we ever make. Her phone buzzed one final time. A text from her mother: if you don't come home right now, don't come home at all. Natalie stared at the message, her heart sinking. What is it? Ethan asked. She showed him the screen. His expression went dark. I'll talk to them. Explain. Explain what? That their daughter spent the night with a man she barely knows? That's exactly what they're afraid of. You're 28 years old. In their world, I'm still their property until I'm married. The words tasted bitter. I have to go. Deal with this. I'll drive you. That'll make it worse. He caught her hand as she stood. Natalie. Whatever happens, whatever they say, this was real. You understand that? She nodded, not trusting her voice. I'll see you Monday. And after. His grip tightened. I'm not letting you go. Not now. The drive home felt like a funeral march. Natalie's apartment building loomed ahead, and she knew her parents would be waiting inside. Her mother had a spare key, used it whenever she decided Natalie needed intervention. Sure enough, they sat on her couch. Her mother's face was stone. Her father looked tired. Where were you? her mother demanded. Out. With Ethan Westfield. All night. Her mother stood, shaking with rage. Do you have any idea what you've done? Mrs. Westfield called me at midnight, hysterical. Said her son abandoned dinner, took you somewhere. She thinks you seduced him, trapped him. I didn't. It doesn't matter what you did. It matters what people think. Her mother's voice cracked. We gave you everything. Everything. And this is how you repay us? By throwing away a good match, humiliating us in front of the Westfields? He's not a match, Mom. He's a person. And so am I. You're our daughter. Which means your choices affect this entire family. Then maybe, Natalie said quietly, I should stop being your daughter. The silence was deafening. Her father spoke for the first time, Natalie. Don't say things you can't take back. I can't live like this anymore. Performing for you, pretending to be someone I'm not. I love you. But I can't be Victoria. I can't want what she wants. We never asked you to be Victoria, her mother whispered, and there were tears now. We just wanted you safe. Happy. Settled. I know. But your version of safe is my version of suffocating. Her mother picked up her purse, moved toward the door. Her father followed. At the threshold, her mother turned back. If you continue with Ethan Westfield, we can't support this. We can't pretend to approve. I know. You're choosing him over family. I'm choosing me over your expectations. There's a difference. The door closed with a soft click that sounded like breaking. Natalie stood in her empty apartment, shaking. Her phone buzzed. Ethan, you okay? She typed back, no. But I will be. His response came immediately, I meant what I said. I'm not letting you go. Despite everything, she smiled. Monday morning, she walked into Catalina Digital with her spine straight and her game face on. The Westfield campaign launch was in Conference Room A, all the senior staff gathered. And there, at the head of the table, stood Ethan Westfield. Their eyes met across the room. Something electric sparked between them, and Natalie knew everyone saw it. This was going to be complicated. But as Ethan smiled, that same relieved, hungry smile from Saturday night, Natalie decided complicated was worth it. The meeting started. Strategies were discussed. Marketing angles debated. And through it all, Natalie felt Ethan's gaze tracking her, watching her argue passionately for a campaign direction that challenged the status quo. When the meeting ended, he approached her. Ms. Stark. Impressive presentation. I'd like to discuss your ideas further. Dinner tonight? His assistant was standing right there. Her colleagues were watching. This was the moment. The choice that would define everything. I'd like that, Mr. Westfield, she said clearly. Very much. His smile widened. And from the corner of the room, she heard Mia's barely suppressed squeal of delight. But that night, as Natalie got ready for dinner, her phone rang with an unknown number. She answered. Miss Stark? A woman's voice, cold and professional. This is Caroline Price, attorney for Westfield Industries. I'm calling to inform you that any personal relationship with Ethan Westfield requires a signed NDA and prenuptial agreement, effective immediately. These are non-negotiable terms. The floor dropped out from under her. Excuse me? Standard procedure for anyone entering Mr. Westfield's personal life. The documents are being couriered to your address now. Please review and sign before your dinner tonight. If you refuse, Mr. Westfield has been advised to terminate all personal contact. The line went dead. Natalie stared at her phone, something cold settling in her chest. 5 minutes later, the courier arrived with a manila envelope thick enough to be a novel. She opened it with shaking hands. Inside, A 50-page NDA prohibiting her from ever discussing Ethan publicly, a prenuptial agreement that would leave her with nothing if they married and divorced, and a letter on Westfield Industries' letterhead. The letter was from Ethan's mother. "Dear Ms. Stark, since my son seems determined to pursue this foolishness with you, these protections are necessary. Sign them, or walk away. There is no third option. Unlike my son, I'm not sentimental about gold diggers. Regards, Margaret Westfield." Natalie's hands clenched around the papers. Her phone buzzed. "Ethan, on my way to pick you up. Can't wait to see you." She looked at the papers. At her phone. At the life she'd built and the choice she'd made. And she realized she'd walked straight into a trap. Ethan arrived at her door in dark jeans and a black sweater, looking nothing like a billionaire and everything like the man who'd kissed her until dawn. His smile faded the second he saw her face. "What's wrong?" She handed him the envelope without a word. He flipped through the pages, his expression going from confused to horrified. When he reached his mother's letter, something dangerous flickered in his eyes. "I didn't know about this." "Didn't you?" Natalie's voice came out flat. "Your attorney. Your company letterhead. My mother." He tossed the papers onto her coffee table like they were contaminated. "She did this without telling me. She's been trying to control every aspect of my life since my father died. This is exactly the kind of manipulative." "Is she wrong?" The question stopped him cold. "What? Is she wrong to protect you?" Natalie crossed her arms, something bitter rising in her throat. "You're worth billions. I work in marketing. We've known each other for 3 days. From the outside, this looks exactly like what she thinks it is. You think I believe that? That I think you're after my money? I think your mother does. And I think part of you probably wonders too. That's not fair. None of this is fair." Her voice cracked. "I blew up my relationship with my parents for you. My mother's not speaking to me. My father looks at me like I'm a stranger. And now your family thinks I'm a con artist." Ethan moved toward her, but she stepped back. "Don't. Just tell me the truth. Did you know she was going to do this?" "No. But you've done it before. These NDAs, these contracts. This is standard procedure for your world, isn't it?" His silence was answer enough. "How many?" she asked. "How many women have signed these papers?" "Natalie." "How many?" 3. His jaw worked. "Over the past 5 years. 3 relationships that ended badly, where private details ended up in tabloids. My mother started insisting on protection after the second one tried to sell our texts to gossip sites. So I'm number 4. You're not a number. You're... what? Different? Special?" She laughed, and it sounded broken. "That's what you told them too, I bet." "That's not what this is." "Then what is it?" "Because from where I'm standing, it looks like I'm just another risk that needs to be managed." His phone rang. He glanced at it, face darkening. "It's my mother. I need to." "Answer it," Natalie said coldly. "Go manage your empire." He answered, his voice sharp. "What did you do?" A pause. "No, you had no right. You completely overstepped." Another pause, longer. His expression shifted from anger to something worse. "Calculation. I understand. But that's not. Fine. I'll call you back." He hung up. "What?" Natalie demanded. "She threatened to pull funding from the Catalina digital contract if you don't sign. She says it's a conflict of interest, that your relationship with me compromises the campaign." The room spun. "She can do that? Just destroy my career because I won't sign her papers?" She's the CFO. She can do whatever she wants. And you're the CEO. Can't you stop her? It's complicated. The board. There are rules about personal relationships with vendors. If she pushes this, makes it a formal complaint. He ran a hand through his hair. I can fight her. But it'll take time. And in the meantime, your agency loses the contract. Which means I get blamed. I lose my job for sleeping with a client. You didn't sleep with me. Do you think that matters? Do you think anyone will believe that? Her voice rose. This is exactly what my parents warned me about. Exactly what I spent my entire life trying to avoid. So what are you saying? You want to sign the papers? Agree to her terms? I'm saying maybe your mother's right. Maybe this is moving too fast, too reckless. Maybe we need to step back. Is that what you want? What I want doesn't seem to matter. Your mother holds all the cards. She only has power if we give it to her. Ethan moved closer, and this time Natalie didn't retreat. Sign the papers. Not because she's forcing you, but because we're choosing each other anyway. Let her think she won. And then we build something real despite her. You're asking me to sign away my voice. My right to my own story. I'm asking you to trust me. To believe that what we have is worth protecting. We've known each other for 3 days, Ethan. I know. But it feels like forever, doesn't it? It did. God help her, it did. I need time, she whispered. Time to think. How much time? I don't know. He nodded slowly, stepped back. Okay. Take whatever time you need. I'll handle my mother, figure out the contract situation. But Natalie. He caught her hand. Don't let her win. Don't let her make you doubt what's real. After he left, Natalie sat in the dark for hours, the unsigned papers spread before her. Her phone buzzed constantly. Mia, asking if she was okay. Her sister Victoria, who'd apparently heard about the family drama. Even Thomas Wong, the other arranged dinner casualty, checking in. But nothing from her parents. She picked up her phone, scrolled to her mother's number. Her finger hovered over the call button. The doorbell rang. Natalie opened it to find a woman in her 50s, impeccably dressed, eyes like frozen steel. She'd seen this face in business magazines, at charity galas. Margaret Westfield. Ms. Stark. May I come in? It wasn't really a question. Margaret swept past her into the apartment, assessing everything with a single, cutting glance. Charming space. Very modest. What do you want? Natalie asked, not bothering with politeness. To speak plainly. My son is brilliant but naive when it comes to women. He sees the best in people, which makes him vulnerable to those who would exploit that. I'm not exploiting anyone. Perhaps not consciously. But tell me, Ms. Stark, what exactly do you bring to this relationship besides youth and ambition? What do you offer a man who has everything? The words were designed to cut, and they did. Maybe I offer him someone who sees him as human instead of a bank account. How noble. And when the novelty wears off? When you realize that being with Ethan means living in a fishbowl, every move scrutinized, every mistake magnified? When you understand that his responsibilities come before personal happiness? Margaret stepped closer. You'll resent him. Leave him. And in the process, you'll destroy the company my husband and I built from nothing. You think I have that much power? I think you have no idea how fragile empires are. One scandal, one badly timed relationship, and investors lose confidence. Stock prices drop. Competitors pounce. My son is the face of this company. I won't let him jeopardize it for a girl he barely knows. He's not a child. He can make his own decisions. Can he? Margaret's smile was razor sharp. Then why did he call me 15 minutes ago, asking me to compromise on the NDA terms? Why is he already negotiating on your behalf, putting your comfort above company security? Natalie's stomach dropped. That's what love does, Ms. Stark. It makes brilliant men stupid. It makes them prioritize feelings over logic. And in our world, that kind of weakness is deadly. Margaret moved to the door, paused. Sign the papers or walk away. But don't pretend you're doing this for love. You're doing it because you finally have a chance to leap from your modest little life into his extraordinary one. And that, my dear, is the oldest gold digger story in the book. The door closed behind her. Natalie stood in her empty apartment, Margaret's words echoing. She looked around at her space, the life she'd built through years of brutal work. Modest. Small. Nothing compared to Ethan's penthouse, his cars, his world. Is that what she was doing? Using love as an excuse to climb? Her phone buzzed. Ethan, my mother just confessed she went to see you. Whatever she said, ignore it. Please. Another text, I'm not letting her control this. Control us. And then a third, I love you. I know it's too soon to say that, but I do. I've loved you since you asked that question 6 years ago, and I'm not walking away now. Natalie stared at the words. Love. After 3 days. It was insane. Impossible. It was also exactly what she felt. She picked up a pen, pulled the papers toward her. Started to sign. Stopped. Put the pen down. Picked up her phone instead and called the one person who might understand. Natalie? Victoria answered on the first ring. Are you okay? Mom's been calling me non-stop, and Can I come over? I need my sister. Silence. Then, of course. Come now. Victoria's house was everything Natalie's apartment wasn't: spacious, warm, filled with the noise of children and cooking smells and laughter. Her brother-in-law answered the door, took one look at Natalie's face, and immediately called upstairs. Victoria. Your sister needs wine. They sat in Victoria's kitchen while the kids watched TV in the other room. Natalie told her everything. The arranged dinner, Ethan, the NDA, Margaret's visit. Victoria listened without interrupting, her expression unreadable. When Natalie finished, Victoria poured them both more wine. Do you love him? I think so. Maybe. It's too soon to know for sure. That's not what I asked. Do you love him right now, in this moment, before reality crushes it? Natalie closed her eyes. Yes. Then sign the papers. What? Sign them. Protect yourself legally, protect him, and see where it goes. If it's real, the NDA won't matter. If it's not, you'll be glad you had protection. His mother thinks I'm a gold digger. His mother's job is to protect her son's fortune. Your job is to protect your heart. Victoria leaned forward. Listen, I know you think I took the easy path. Got married young, had kids, became exactly what Mom wanted. But you know what? It was my choice. I chose this life because it made me happy. Not because anyone forced me. Mom never forced you. She's always been proud of you. And she's proud of you too. She's just scared. You're doing something she doesn't understand, choosing a path she never imagined. That's terrifying for immigrant parents who sacrificed everything for safety and stability. She told me not to come home. She was angry and hurt. Give her time. Victoria squeezed her hand. But don't give up your life to make her comfortable. That's not love. That's just fear. Natalie drove back to her apartment as the sun set, turning the city into gold and shadow. The papers still sat on her coffee table. Her phone showed 3 more texts from Ethan, increasingly worried. She picked up the pen, signed her name on every page, and texted Ethan, "Done. I signed them. Now what?" His response was immediate, "Now we fight for this. Together." The next morning, Natalie walked into Catalina Digital to find her boss, Graham, waiting by her desk. His expression was serious. "My office. Now." Her stomach sank. Graham closed the door behind them, gestured for her to sit. "I got a call from Westfield Industries' legal department this morning. Apparently, there's a potential conflict of interest with the campaign. I can explain. You're in a relationship with the client. It's new." "It's not. I didn't plan this. The contract has a clause about personal relationships. You should have disclosed immediately." "I know. I'm sorry. It happened so fast." Graham leaned back in his chair, studying her. "Ethan Westfield personally called me an hour ago. Said his mother overstepped, that there's no conflict, and if we remove you from the campaign, Westfield Industries pulls the entire account." Natalie's mind reeled. "He did what?" "He threatened to cost us millions if we punish you for this relationship. So now I have to decide, do I believe this is real, or are you being used as leverage in some family power play?" "It's real. I know how it looks, but it's real." "Then you need to make a choice, Natalie. You can stay on the campaign, but your relationship with Westfield remains professional only until the contract ends. Or you can pursue the relationship now and I transfer you off the account. Either way, I need to protect this agency." "How long is the contract?" 6 months. 6 months. An eternity and no time at all. "Can I think about it?" "You have until end of day." "And Natalie?" Graham's expression softened slightly. "For what it's worth, I hope it's real. I've never seen you look at anyone the way you look at him." She left his office in a daze. 6 months of pretending Ethan was just a client. 6 months of professional distance while Margaret Westfield circled like a shark and her parents refused to speak to her. Or she could step away from the biggest career opportunity she'd ever had. Mia caught her in the hallway. "What happened?" "You look like you've seen a ghost," Natalie told her. "That's emotional blackmail," Mia said flatly. "Westfield using the contract to protect you, Graham forcing you to choose. Everyone's using you as a chess piece." "I know. So what are you going to do?" Before Natalie could answer, her phone rang. Unknown number. She answered warily. "Natalie Stark?" A man's voice, familiar but she couldn't place it. "Yes? This is Marcus Chen from the Chronicle. I'm working on a story about Ethan Westfield's romantic history, and I heard you two were seen together this weekend. Care to comment?" Her blood went cold. "No comment. Come on, Ms. Stark. You're the 4th woman in 5 years. People are curious about what makes Ethan Westfield fall so hard so fast. Some might say he has a pattern of impulsive relationships that flame out quickly. I have nothing to say. What about the NDA you signed? That's interesting timing, don't you think? Almost like Westfield Industries knew this would leak and wanted to silence you preemptively." "How do you know about the NDA?" "I have my sources." "So it's true? You signed papers agreeing not to discuss your relationship with one of the city's most eligible bachelors? That's a story in itself." Natalie hung up, her hands shaking. This was spiraling fast. She texted Ethan, "The press knows. About us, about the NDA, everything." His response, "I'm handling it. Don't talk to anyone." And then another, "I need to see you. Tonight. Please." She wanted to say no. Wanted to step back from the chaos swirling around them. But instead, she texted, "Your place. 8 p.m. Because despite everything, despite the NDAs and the family drama and the press and the career ultimatum, she wasn't ready to walk away. Not yet. She spent the rest of the day in meetings, pretending to focus while her mind spun. By the time 8 o'clock came, she was exhausted and wired all at once. Ethan opened the door before she could knock, pulled her inside, and kissed her like she was oxygen and he'd been drowning. "I'm sorry," he breathed against her mouth. "For all of it. My mother, the press, the contract. I'm sorry. We need to talk." "I know." He led her to the couch, poured them both wine. "The leak came from inside my company. Someone on my mother's team fed information to the press. Your own mother sabotaged us. She's trying to force my hand. Make the relationship so toxic I'll walk away to protect you. Maybe you should." He stared at her. "What?" "Listen to what's happening, Ethan. Your family's at war with mine. The press is circling. My career is in jeopardy. We've known each other for less than a week, and already everything's falling apart. So we fight harder. Or we admit this was a mistake. A beautiful, impossible mistake." "You don't mean that. I have to choose between you and my career. Between your world and my family. That's not love, Ethan. That's sacrifice. And I'm not sure I'm strong enough to keep sacrificing." His face went pale. "Are you breaking up with me?" "I'm saying maybe we need to step back. Take the 6 months Graham offered. Be professional, let things cool down, and see if what we feel survives reality." "It won't," he said flatly. 6 months of distance, of pressure from our families, of press speculation. We'll convince ourselves it was just chemistry, just temporary insanity. Then maybe it was. No. He stood, paced to the windows. "You want to know what I've learned in the past 3 days? That I've been sleepwalking through my life for years. Going through motions, building the empire, making my mother proud of redeeming my father's name. But I wasn't alive. Not really." He turned back to her. "And then you walked into that restaurant, and suddenly I could breathe again. For the first time since my father died, I felt something besides guilt and pressure and fear." His voice cracked. "You make me feel human, Natalie. And if I lose that, if I lose you, I go back to being the empty suit everyone thinks I am." Tears burned in her eyes. "That's too much pressure. I can't be your salvation. I'm not asking you to save me. I'm asking you to fight with me. To believe that what we have is worth the chaos. And if we destroy each other in the process? Then at least we burned bright." The doorbell rang, sharp and insistent. Ethan frowned, checked his phone. "I'm not expecting anyone." He opened the door to reveal Margaret Westfield, and behind her, Natalie's mother. The two women looked at each other, then at their children with identical expressions of grim determination. "We need to talk," Margaret said. "All of us." And Natalie knew that whatever happened next would change everything. The silence in Ethan's penthouse could have shattered glass. Margaret and Mrs. Stark stood side by side like allied generals, their faces carved from stone. Natalie felt her mother's gaze like a physical weight. "How did you two?" Ethan started. "We spoke this afternoon," Margaret said crisply. "Turns out we have more in common than we thought. Starting with children who've lost their minds." "Mrs. Westfield called me," Natalie's mother said, her voice tight. "Said we needed to talk about our children's foolishness before it destroyed both families." "Please sit," Ethan said, his tone carefully neutral. "Since you've clearly planned this intervention." They arranged themselves in the living room like opposing armies preparing for negotiation. Margaret and Mrs. Stark on one couch, Ethan and Natalie on the other. The city glittered beyond the windows, oblivious to the battle brewing inside. "I'll be direct," Margaret began. "This relationship is unsustainable. You've known each other less than a week. Ethan, you have responsibilities to the company, to the shareholders, to the empire your father built." "The empire my father nearly destroyed with his lies," Ethan said quietly. "Let's be honest about what I inherited, Mother." Margaret's jaw tightened. All the more reason to be careful. One scandal, one misstep. And you think Natalie's a misstep? I think she's a distraction at best. At worst, an opportunist who recognized a lonely, vulnerable man and saw her chance. "How dare you?" Natalie's mother interjected, surprising everyone. "My daughter is not an opportunist. She's independent, successful, and has never needed anyone's money." Margaret raised an eyebrow. "Then why are you here, Mrs. Stark? If you approve of this relationship?" "Because it's reckless. Natalie has worked her entire life to build her career. Now she's throwing it away for a man she barely knows. Just like her father and I taught her never to do." Mrs. Stark turned to Natalie, her eyes glistening. "We gave you everything so you could be independent. So you wouldn't need to rely on a man for your security. And now you're doing exactly what I feared." "I'm not relying on him," Natalie said, her voice shaking. "I'm choosing him. There's a difference." "Is there?" "You've signed away your voice. You could lose your job. Your relationship with us is destroyed. What exactly are you choosing besides him?" The words hit like daggers. "I'm choosing to feel something real," Natalie whispered. "I'm choosing to stop performing for everyone and just be." "That's the problem with your generation," Margaret said coldly. "You think feelings are enough. That passion justifies recklessness. Let me tell you what happens to relationships built on feelings: they crumble. And when they do, the fallout destroys everything around them." "Is that what happened with your husband?" Ethan's voice was ice. "Your feelings crumbled, so he embezzled $50 million and killed himself?" Margaret went white. "How dare you? No, how dare you use his death to control my life? He made his choices. I'm making mine. And what about my choices?" Natalie's mother stood abruptly. "What about the sacrifices your father and I made? We came to this country with nothing. Worked 18-hour days so you and Victoria could have opportunities. All we asked was that you be smart, be careful, build something stable." "I have built something stable," Natalie said. "My career, my life. And you're gambling it all on a man you met 6 days ago. Because maybe stable isn't enough." The words burst out of her. "Maybe I'm tired of being careful and smart and perfect. Maybe I want to feel alive instead of just accomplished." Silence fell like snow. Mrs. Stark's face crumpled. "Then we've failed. Everything we did, everything we sacrificed, it meant nothing." "Mom, that's not what I'm saying." "But it's what you mean." Her mother moved toward the door. "You want to choose feelings over family? Fine. But don't expect us to watch you destroy yourself." "Wait." Margaret stood too. "We're not finished." "Yes, we are." Mrs. Stark looked at Natalie with such sadness it hurt to breathe. "I can't support this. I can't watch my daughter throw away everything for a man who'll break her heart. So I won't watch. Come on, Mrs. Westfield." But Margaret stayed rooted. "Actually, Mrs. Stark, I think we're taking the wrong approach." Everyone stared at her. "Forbidding them, threatening them, it's only making them more determined. They think they're Romeo and Juliet, star-crossed lovers against the world." Margaret's smile was sharp. "So let's give them what they want. Let them be together. Publicly, completely, no restrictions." "Mother," Ethan said warily. "What are you doing? Calling your bluff?" You think this is real? Prove it. Move in together. Merge your lives completely. Face the press, the scrutiny, the pressure of actually being a couple in the real world. No more secret meetings and romantic gestures. Real life. You think we can't handle it, Natalie said slowly. I think you'll realize what you have is infatuation, not love. And infatuation doesn't survive laundry and bills and in-laws. Margaret turned to Mrs. Stark. Let's give them 6 months. If they're still together after 6 months of reality, we accept the relationship. If not, they agree to walk away without drama. Natalie's mother looked uncertain. And if they refuse the challenge? Then they prove they're not serious. That this is just rebellion, not commitment. Ethan's hand found Natalie's. We accept. Ethan, Natalie hissed. We should discuss this. What's to discuss? She's right. If what we have is real, it'll survive reality. If it's not, better to know now. But my job, your company. I'll talk to Graham. Work something out. And my mother will back off the contract interference. Won't you, Mother? Margaret's smile widened. Of course. This challenge only works if there are no external pressures. Just you two, trying to build a life together while maintaining your careers and repairing your family relationships. Simple. Nothing about her tone suggested it would be simple. Mrs. Stark looked at Natalie. If you agree to this, if you move in with him and try to make this work, I'll give you 6 months. But if it falls apart, Natalie, you come home. No more chasing feelings. You build the stable life you should have built from the start. And if it doesn't fall apart? Her mother's expression softened infinitesimally. Then I'll try to understand. I won't promise to approve, but I'll try. Natalie looked at Ethan. His eyes asked a single question, are you with me? She should say no. Should recognize this trap for what it was. But looking at him, she saw not just the man she'd fallen for, but a chance to prove everyone wrong. To show that love could be more than performance, more than obligation. We accept, she said. Margaret and Mrs. Stark exchanged glances that Natalie couldn't quite read. Excellent, Margaret said. Then I'll have the PR team draft an announcement about your relationship. Better to control the narrative than let the press speculate. And I'll tell your father, Mrs. Stark added. He won't be happy, but he'll respect your choice. For 6 months. After their mothers left, Natalie collapsed onto the couch. What did we just agree to? To try, Ethan said, sitting beside her. To actually see if this works. Your mother just manipulated us into a social experiment. She thinks she did. But maybe this is what we need. No more sneaking around, no more drama. Just us, figuring out if we can build something real. You're really okay with me moving in? We've been together less than a week. I've wanted you in my space since that first night. He pulled her close. Besides, this place is huge. If you need your own room, your own space, we can figure it out. That's not the point. The point is we're skipping every normal relationship milestone because our mothers backed us into a corner. Would you rather walk away? Tell them they're right, this is just infatuation. No, she admitted. I'm just scared. Good. Me too. If we weren't scared, we'd be idiots. The next week passed in a blur of boxes and logistics. Natalie gave notice on her apartment lease, packed her life into containers, and moved into Ethan's penthouse. Graham agreed to keep her on the Westfield campaign with the understanding that any hint of unprofessionalism would be grounds for immediate removal. The PR announcement went live on a Wednesday. Ethan Westfield and Natalie Stark are pleased to announce their relationship. They request privacy as they navigate this new chapter. The press went wild. Within hours, Natalie's photo was everywhere. Think pieces about their relationship, speculation about prenups and power dynamics, even an article questioning whether she'd seduced him to advance her career. "Don't read the comments," Mia warned over coffee. "Nothing good ever happens in comment sections." But Natalie couldn't help herself. She scrolled through Twitter, watching strangers dissect her life, her motives, her worth. She's nobody. Why would he choose her? Gold digger. Obviously. Give it 3 months before she's pregnant and locked in. The words shouldn't have hurt. She'd known this was coming. But seeing her life reduced to gossip and judgment made her feel exposed, raw. Ethan found her that night curled up on the couch, laptop open to another brutal article. "I told you not to look. I needed to know what people are saying. They're saying you're out of my league, that I'm lucky you gave me a chance, and that we look happy together." He closed the laptop gently. "That's what matters. Not the trolls. Your ex-girlfriend gave an interview. Said you're a serial monogamist who falls fast and crashes harder." Sarah. "Yeah, she's been bitter since I ended things 2 years ago. She said you told her you loved her after a week. That you moved her into one of your properties and then dumped her when the novelty wore off." Ethan sat down slowly. "That's not how it happened." "Then how did it happen?" He was quiet for a long time. "I did move fast. I did tell her I loved her early. Because I wanted it to be true. I wanted to feel something besides guilt and pressure. And when I realized it wasn't real, that I was just using her to fill a void, I ended it. Not well. I hurt her. And the woman before her? Same pattern. Different outcome. She was the one who leaked details to the press, tried to leverage the relationship for money and fame. How do I know I'm not just another pattern?" Natalie's voice broke. "Another woman you're using to feel alive? Because you challenge me. You push back. You're not trying to be what I need, you're just being yourself. And that's what I love. Your stubborn independence, your refusal to be managed or controlled. Even now, questioning this, questioning me, that's real. Or I'm falling for pretty words while you repeat the same cycle. Then leave. Walk away. Prove my mother right." The challenge hung between them. "I don't want to leave," Natalie whispered. "Then trust me. Trust us. And let's prove everyone wrong." They made it 2 weeks before the first real fight. Ethan had to fly to New York for investor meetings, 3 days away from her. Natalie threw herself into the Westfield campaign, working late nights to perfect the launch strategy. When Ethan returned, exhausted and jet-lagged, he found her asleep at his desk, surrounded by campaign materials. "Hey," he said softly, shaking her awake. "Come to bed." "Can't. Presentations tomorrow. Need to finalize these numbers. It's 2 a.m. The numbers will wait." "Easy for you to say. You're not the one whose entire career depends on this campaign succeeding." She pushed his hand away. "I need to be perfect, Ethan. One mistake and everyone will say I only got this job because I'm sleeping with you. You got this job because you're brilliant. Tell that to the design team who barely looks at me anymore. Or the junior associates who whisper when I walk by. They all think I slept my way to this contract. Then prove them wrong. I'm trying. But it's hard to prove anything when everyone's watching me through a lens of suspicion. So what do you want me to do? Break up with you to make your coworkers comfortable? I want you to understand that your support isn't enough. That this is harder for me than it is for you. You think this is easy for me? I've got board members questioning my judgment, investors worried I'm distracted, and my mother sending daily reminders that we're on a 6-month trial. At least you still have your job. At least people still respect you. Is that what you think? That I'm immune to judgment?" He laughed bitterly. I had a meeting yesterday where one of our oldest investors asked if I was thinking with my heart or my brain. In front of the entire board. What did you say? That my personal life is separate from my professional decisions. But the truth is, they're not. Everything's tangled now. You, the company, my mother, our families. And I don't know how to untangle it without losing you. The vulnerability in his voice stopped her. I'm sorry, she said quietly. I'm just tired. And scared. And I feel like I'm drowning in everyone's expectations. Me too. He pulled her up from the desk, led her to the bedroom. But we're drowning together. That has to count for something. They fell asleep wrapped around each other, too exhausted for anything more. The campaign launch was a success. The client loved the strategy, the press coverage was positive, and Graham pulled Natalie aside afterward. Good work. Really good work. Thank you. Your relationship with Westfield, it's stable? As stable as it can be. Keep it that way. The contract renewal depends on it. More pressure. More expectations. Natalie smiled and nodded and felt the weight crushing her chest. That night, Ethan took her to dinner at an expensive restaurant downtown. Private table, candlelight, the kind of romantic gesture that should have made her heart sing. Instead, she felt numb. What's wrong? He asked halfway through the meal. Nothing. Natalie. I'm just tired. You've been tired for 2 weeks. Ever since I got back from New York. Because I'm working 18-hour days trying to prove I deserve to be on this campaign. No one's asking you to work yourself to death. Everyone's asking me to work myself to death. Your company, my agency, our families watching to see if we fail. I don't get to just coast, Ethan. I have to be perfect. I never asked you to be perfect. You didn't have to. Your mother did it for you with her 6-month challenge. My mother did it by agreeing I could throw my life away as long as I proved it was worth it. Everyone's waiting for me to fail so they can say they were right about us. So prove them wrong. I'm trying. But I can't breathe under all this pressure. Her voice had risen. Other diners were looking. Natalie stood abruptly. I need air. She walked outside, gulped the cool night air. Ethan followed moments later. Talk to me. Really talk to me. I don't know if I can do this, she said, the words tumbling out. The scrutiny, the judgment, the constant feeling that I'm being tested. This isn't a relationship, Ethan. It's a performance. Then let's stop performing. Let's just be. We can't. Not with 6-month deadlines and career pressures and families watching our every move. What are you saying? She looked at him, this man she'd fallen for so fast, so hard. And she saw the trap closing around them both. I'm saying maybe your mother was right. Maybe we jumped too fast, too reckless. Maybe what we have doesn't survive reality. We're not even halfway through the 6 months. I know. But I'm already exhausted. And if I feel like this at 2 months, how will I feel at 6? Ethan's face went pale. Are you breaking up with me? I don't know. I need space to think. Space. In the apartment we share. That I moved you into 6 weeks ago. The bitter truth of it hung between them. I'll stay with Mia for a few days. Give us both time to figure out if this is working. It's working fine. You're just scared. Of course I'm scared. I gave up everything for this. My relationship with my parents, my apartment, my privacy. And what if we don't make it? What if in 4 months we realize we made a mistake and I'm left with nothing? You'll have me. That's not enough. The words came out harsher than she meant. I need to be enough on my own. I need my career, my identity, my life to be separate from you. But everything's merged now, and I'm losing myself. Then take your space. Take your time. But don't convince yourself this is failing just because it's hard. She nodded, tears streaming down her face. I'll text you. Natalie. She turned back. I love you. That hasn't changed. It won't change. She wanted to say it back. But the words stuck in her throat, trapped behind fear and exhaustion and doubt. So she just walked away. She stayed at Mia's for 3 days. 3 days of silence from Ethan, of work filling every hour, of her phone showing dozens of missed calls from her mother. On the 4th day, she came back to the penthouse to grab more clothes. Let herself in quietly, expecting it to be empty. Instead, she found Ethan in the living room. With Margaret. And a woman Natalie had never seen before, blonde and beautiful and sitting too close to him on the couch. They all turned as she entered. Natalie, Ethan said, standing quickly. I didn't know you were coming. Clearly. Her voice came out flat. Who's this? This is Christina, Margaret said smoothly. She works in our London office. She's in town for the week and I thought Ethan should show her around. Christina smiled, all teeth and confidence. Ethan's been so helpful. We had dinner last night, and he's taking me to the symphony tomorrow. The words hit like a physical blow. You're dating? Natalie asked Ethan directly. No. Christina's a colleague. My mother arranged this as a work dinner. That somehow extended to the symphony. And apparently to your couch at 2 in the afternoon. We were discussing the London expansion. Christina's heading it up. Margaret stood. Natalie, dear, you're the one who asked for space. You can't be upset when Ethan maintains his professional relationships. This isn't professional. This is you parading another woman in front of him while I'm gone. Is it? Or is this you realizing that taking a break has consequences? Ethan moved toward Natalie. This isn't what it looks like. It looks like your mother's setting you up with someone more suitable. Someone from your world who knows how to play the game. Christina and I are colleagues. Nothing more. Does she know that? Natalie looked at Christina. Did he tell you we're living together? Christina's smile faltered. Margaret said you were taking a break. Figuring things out. We are, Margaret interjected. And in the meantime, Ethan has responsibilities. Christina is brilliant, accomplished, from an excellent family. She understands his world. Of course she does. Natalie laughed, and it sounded broken. She's perfect. Unlike me. Natalie, don't do this, Ethan said. Do what? Walk away while you audition my replacement? That's not what's happening. Then tell Christina to leave. Tell your mother you're done with her manipulations. The silence was deafening. He can't, Margaret said softly. Because Christina represents a $50 million expansion deal. If Ethan alienates her, we lose London. And there it was. The real trap. You're choosing the company, Natalie whispered. I'm trying to balance everything. There is no balance. There's only your mother controlling you through business deals and suitable women. And me, the distraction who doesn't fit. That's not true. Then choose. Right now. Her or me. Ethan looked at his mother. At Christina. At Natalie. And in his hesitation, Natalie saw everything she needed to know. That's what I thought, she said quietly. She walked to the bedroom, grabbed her remaining belongings, and headed for the door. Wait, Ethan called. Please, just wait. Let me explain. There's nothing to explain. Your mother was right. We don't survive reality. We barely survived 6 weeks. I love you. She stopped at the door, looked back at him. Love isn't enough when you're not willing to fight for it. And she left. Outside, in her car, she finally broke down. Sobbed until her throat was raw and her chest ached. Her phone buzzed with texts from Ethan, each one more desperate than the last. But she didn't respond. 3 weeks passed in a fog. Natalie moved back into her own place, a smaller apartment than before because she'd broken her previous lease. The walls felt like a cage. Work became her refuge and her prison. The Westfield campaign consumed her days, forcing her to see Ethan's name on every document, hear his voice in every conference call. They never spoke directly. Graham handled all communication, his expression carefully neutral every time he mentioned Westfield Industries. Mia brought coffee and sympathy, but even she seemed to be losing patience. "You can't avoid him forever," Mia said one Friday afternoon. "The final campaign presentation is next week. You'll both be there." "I'll manage." "Will you? Because you look like you haven't slept in weeks." Natalie hadn't. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Ethan's face. That moment of hesitation. Christina's smile. Margaret's victory. Her phone buzzed. Another text from Ethan. She'd stopped reading them after the first 100. Now she just let them pile up, unread, a monument to everything that had fallen apart. But this one was different. Not from Ethan. From Victoria, "Dad's in the hospital. Heart attack. Come now." The world tilted. Natalie arrived at the hospital to find her entire family in the waiting room. Her mother, Victoria, Victoria's husband, even her grandmother who'd flown in from Taiwan. Everyone except the person she needed most. "Where's Dad?" she asked. Her mother looked up, face ravaged. "Surgery. They're doing surgery." "What happened?" "He collapsed at the restaurant." "Just collapsed." Her mother's voice broke. "The doctors say it was stress. Too much stress for too long." Guilt crashed over Natalie like a wave. "Mom, I'm so sorry. I never meant." "I know." Her mother pulled her into a fierce hug. "I know, baby. This isn't your fault." But it felt like her fault. Felt like every choice she'd made had led to this moment, her father fighting for his life while she'd been drowning in her own drama. They waited for hours. Natalie paced the hallways, drank terrible coffee, and tried not to think about how her last conversation with her father had ended. He'd been disappointed but kind, telling her to follow her heart even if he didn't understand it. Now he might die before she could tell him she'd been wrong. That she'd chosen badly, selfishly, recklessly. Her phone buzzed again. She glanced at it, expecting another family update. Instead, "Ethan. I heard about your father. I'm so sorry. If you need anything, anything at all, please let me know." She stared at the message. It would be so easy to reach out, to let him comfort her. But what would that solve? They'd still be broken. Still trapped in impossible choices. She put the phone away without responding. The surgeon emerged at midnight. "The surgery went well. He's stable, but he'll need to stay for observation. And he'll need to make significant lifestyle changes. Less stress, better diet, more rest. Less stress." As if that were simple. Natalie stayed at the hospital that night, curled up in a chair beside her father's bed. He looked small under the hospital blankets, fragile in a way she'd never seen before. Her father, who'd worked brutal hours to build his restaurant empire, who'd sacrificed everything for his daughter's futures. "I'm sorry," she whispered to his sleeping form. "I'm so sorry, Ba." Her mother appeared in the doorway. "You should rest." "I can't." Her mother sat in the other chair, took Natalie's hand. "This isn't your fault. Your father's been working too hard for years. The doctors have been warning him. But I made it worse. The stress of my relationship, the family drama. I added to it. You lived your life. That's not a crime. It is when it almost kills you. They sat in silence for a while. Then her mother spoke again. I was wrong to give you that ultimatum. Wrong to make you choose between family and your own happiness. Mom. Let me finish. I was scared. Scared of losing you the way I lost my own family when I came to America. Scared that if you chose differently than I did, it meant my choices were wrong. But Victoria helped me see. You're not me, Natalie. Your path doesn't have to look like mine. Tears streamed down Natalie's face. It doesn't matter now. Ethan and I are done. Are you? You saw what happened. His mother manipulated everything, and he let her. He chose his empire over me. Did he? Or did you run before giving him a chance to choose? The words hit hard. I saw him with another woman. In our home. You saw him in a business situation that his mother orchestrated. There's a difference. Her mother squeezed her hand. I'm not saying you were wrong to be hurt. But maybe you were wrong to assume his hesitation meant he didn't love you. Sometimes love means figuring out how to balance everything without losing yourself. I don't know how to do that. None of us do. We just keep trying. The next morning, her father woke up. His first words were, "Did we close early?" The dinner rush. "Bah," Natalie said gently. "You're in the hospital. You had a heart attack." He blinked slowly, processing. "How long have I been here?" "Just overnight." "You're going to be fine, but you need to rest. The restaurant is being handled. Uncle Chen is managing things. You need to focus on getting better." Her father studied her face. "You look terrible." Despite everything, she laughed. "Thanks, Ba." The boy. "Ethan. What happened?" "It's complicated. Love usually is." He shifted in the bed, wincing. "You know why I agreed to let you try with him? Even though it scared me?" "Why?" "Because I saw something in your eyes I hadn't seen in years. Fire. Passion. You were alive, Natalie. Not just successful or accomplished. Alive." He coughed, and her mother helped him drink water. "I don't want you to be like me. Working so hard you forget what you're working for. Love, family, happiness. That should be the goal. Not just success. But you worked hard so we could have opportunities. And now you have them. So use them. Be brave enough to fight for what makes you alive." The words echoed long after he'd fallen back asleep. That afternoon, Victoria pulled Natalie into the hallway. "I need to tell you something. About Ethan." Natalie's stomach dropped. "What about him?" "He called me 2 weeks ago. Asked if he could meet." "You met with Ethan?" "He wanted to know how to fix things with you. How to prove he was serious." Victoria hesitated. "He's been working with a therapist. Trying to untangle his relationship with his mother, figure out how to set boundaries without destroying the company." "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because you needed space to figure out what you wanted." "But Nat, he's trying. Really trying. He told his mother that Christina wasn't an option, that he wasn't interested in suitable replacements. He's fighting her, but in the smart way. The way that doesn't destroy everything he's built. He still chose the business meeting over me. No, he chose not to burn down his empire in a moment of anger. There's a difference between choosing business over you and choosing to handle a situation strategically. He couldn't tell Christina to leave without insulting her and torpedoing a major deal. But he called me that same night, desperate to figure out how to prove to you that you're still his choice. Natalie leaned against the wall, exhausted. I don't know if I can go back to that life. The scrutiny, the pressure. Then don't. Create a different life. One where you set the terms. Victoria grabbed her shoulders. You're the one with the power here, Nat. Not his mother, not our family. You. So decide what you want, and make it happen. The campaign presentation was scheduled for Tuesday. 5 days away. Natalie spent the weekend at the hospital, then forced herself to prepare. This was the culmination of 3 months of work, and she wouldn't let personal drama ruin it. Monday night, she stayed late at the office, perfecting every slide. Around 10 p.m., the conference room door opened. Ethan stood there. Your assistant said I'd find you here. Her heart hammered. You shouldn't be here. I know. But I couldn't stay away any longer. He stepped inside, closed the door. How's your father? Stable. Thank you for asking. Natalie, He ran a hand through his hair. I've replayed that day 1,000 times. What I should have said, what I should have done differently. It doesn't matter now. It matters to me. Because you were right. I hesitated. When you asked me to choose, I hesitated. He moved closer. But not for the reason you think. I hesitated because I was trying to figure out how to choose you without destroying everything. How to set a boundary with my mother while keeping Christina comfortable and protecting the London deal. I wanted to do it right, not just react. And in that hesitation, you lost me. I know. And I've spent every day since trying to figure out how to get you back. By doing what? More romantic gestures. More promises. By changing. Actually changing. He pulled out his phone, showed her a series of appointments. Therapy. 3 times a week. Learning how to separate my identity from my father's legacy, how to set boundaries with my mother without guilt. That's great, Ethan. Really. But I'm not a project to fix. I know. You're the woman I love. The woman I've been in love with for 6 years, even when I didn't know your name. And I'm not asking you to come back. I'm asking you to let me prove I can be the man you deserve. How? However you need me to. If you want space, I'll give you space. If you want grand gestures, I'll move mountains. If you want me to walk away forever, I'll do that too. Because what I want doesn't matter if it makes you miserable. She stared at him, saw the exhaustion in his face, the weight he carried. What do you want, Ethan? You. Just you. In whatever way you'll have me. The words broke something open inside her. I want to believe that. Then believe it. Take the risk. Choose me the way I'm choosing you. What about your mother? Christina? The London deal? I told Christina I'm not interested. I told my mother that if she ever pulls something like that again, I'm stepping down as CEO. And I told the board that my personal life is off limits for business negotiations. He stepped closer. I'm done letting other people's expectations control my choices. I'm choosing you, Natalie. The question is, will you choose me back? She thought about her father's words. About being alive instead of just successful. About fighting for what mattered. I'm scared, she whispered. Scared of getting hurt again. Me too. But I'd rather be scared with you than safe without you. We're still going to have problems. Your family, mine, the press, the pressure. I know. But we'll figure it out together. Set boundaries, protect our privacy, build something that's ours. He took her hands. I'm not asking for perfection. I'm just asking for a chance to try again. Smarter this time. Stronger. She looked at their joined hands, felt the familiar warmth, the connection that had felt like destiny from that first night. Okay, she breathed. Okay, we'll try. He pulled her into his arms, held her like she was precious and breakable and everything. I love you, he whispered into her hair. I'm going to keep saying it until you believe me. I love you too, she said, and felt the truth of it settle into her bones. That's what makes this so terrifying. They stood there in the empty office, holding each other as the city glittered beyond the windows. It wasn't a perfect moment. There were still problems to solve, families to navigate, careers to balance. But it was real. And real was enough. The presentation the next day went flawlessly. Ethan asked sharp questions, pushed back on weak points, and ultimately approved the campaign with genuine enthusiasm. Professional, appropriate, and yet Natalie felt his gaze on her like a physical touch. Afterward, Graham pulled her aside. Whatever you two worked out, keep it up. That was the best client meeting we've had in years. We're trying. Good. Because the renewal contract came through this morning. Westfield wants to extend for another year. Specifically requested you as lead. Really? Really? You've earned it, Natalie. Not because of your relationship, but despite it. You did excellent work under impossible pressure. That night, she and Ethan had dinner at a quiet restaurant outside the city. No press, no family, just them. My mother called today, Ethan said over wine. Said she wants to apologize. I'll believe that when I see it. She's not good at admitting she's wrong. But she knows she pushed too far. And my father's medical records. He trailed off. What about them? I finally got access to them. Turns out he'd been seeing a therapist before he died. Was trying to come clean about the embezzlement, wanted to turn himself in. Ethan's voice went rough. But my mother convinced him to wait, to protect the company's reputation. And the guilt destroyed him. Ethan. She's been carrying that guilt ever since. Controlling everything because she couldn't control his death. Understanding that doesn't excuse what she did to us, but it helps me see where it came from. What are you going to do? Set boundaries. Insist on therapy for both of us before I agree to any more family business. And protect what we have. He reached across the table. I'm not losing you again, Natalie. Not to family drama, not to business pressures, not to fear. You're my priority. The rest we'll figure out. She squeezed his hand. Speaking of family, mine wants to meet with both of us. All of us together. I'm ready if you are. They met her family the following weekend at Golden Lotus, the same restaurant where this had all begun. Her father looked healthier, color back in his face. Her mother was nervous but trying, Victoria encouraging. Even grandmother had opinions, delivered in rapid Mandarin that Natalie had to translate. She says you're too skinny, Natalie told Ethan. You need to eat more. Ethan grinned and let grandmother pile his plate high with dumplings. It wasn't perfect. There were awkward silences and careful conversations, her mother clearly struggling with acceptance. But there was effort. Good faith. A willingness to try. After dinner, her father pulled Ethan aside. Natalie watched from across the room as they spoke, her father serious, Ethan listening intently. When they rejoined the group, her father looked satisfied. What did you say to him? Natalie asked later. That if he hurts you again, I'll have words. Possibly involving cleavers. Bah. What? I'm traditional. We protect our daughters. But he was smiling, and so was Ethan, and Natalie felt something ease in her chest. Not perfect, but better. So much better. 2 weeks later, Margaret Westfield called and asked to meet. Natalie agreed, but insisted Ethan come with her. They met at Margaret's office, a space of glass and steel that reflected her personality. Thank you for coming, Margaret said, and she sounded almost humble. I owe you both an apology. Yes, Ethan said. You do. I was wrong. About you, Natalie. About this relationship. I thought I was protecting Ethan from making the same mistakes his father made. From letting emotions cloud judgment. But in doing so, I almost destroyed something real. She looked at Natalie directly. You're good for him. You challenge him, ground him, make him think beyond the company. And I was too blind to see that. Why now? Natalie asked. What changed? My therapist pointed out that I've been trying to control Ethan's life because I couldn't control my husband's death. That I've been so afraid of loss that I've been pushing away the people I love most. Margaret's voice wavered. I don't want to lose my son. And I'm starting to understand that controlling him is the fastest way to do that. So what are you proposing? Ethan asked. Boundaries. Clear ones. I run the business side, you handle operations. And your personal life is completely off limits. No more manipulations, no more tests. You're an adult, and I need to trust you to make your own choices. And if those choices include marrying Natalie? Natalie's heart stopped. Margaret smiled, small and genuine. Then I'll host the most spectacular wedding this city has ever seen. After they left, in the car, Natalie turned to Ethan. That was unexpected. Which part? My mother apologizing or me mentioning marriage? Both. He pulled over into a parking lot, turned to face her. I know it's too soon. I know we're still figuring things out. But Natalie, I want a future with you. However long that takes to build, whatever form it takes, I want it. I want that too, she whispered. Then let's stop rushing. Stop letting other people set timelines. Let's just be together and see where it goes. No more 6-month challenges. No more challenges. Just us, figuring it out one day at a time. She kissed him, soft and sweet, a promise of everything to come. That night, lying in bed in his penthouse, now genuinely their home, Natalie felt peace settle over her. They still had problems to solve, families to navigate, careers to balance. But they had each other. And they had the courage to fight for what mattered. Her phone buzzed with a text from her mother. Your father wants you to bring Ethan to dinner next Sunday. And he's making your favorite dumplings. Natalie showed Ethan the message. Does this mean I'm officially approved? It means you're on probation. But it's progress. He laughed and pulled her closer. I'll take it. They fell asleep tangled together, the city lights painting shadows across the room, two broken people choosing each other despite the odds. But in the shadows beyond their window, a camera flash went off. And in a car parked below, someone smiled as they reviewed the photos, already composing the headline, Westfield heir back together with gold digger, inside their toxic relationship. The storm wasn't over. It was just beginning. The article hit on a Tuesday morning. Front page of the Chronicle, above the fold, with photos of Natalie and Ethan through the penthouse windows. Intimate moments stolen and sold, their privacy shattered across newsprint and digital screens. Toxic love, inside Ethan Westfield's pattern of unstable relationships. Natalie stared at the headline on her laptop, nausea rising. The article was brutal, painting her as a manipulative social climber and Ethan as a broken man addicted to drama. Quotes from anonymous sources detailed their fights, their breakup, their reunion. Private moments twisted into evidence of dysfunction. Her phone exploded. Calls from Graham, from journalists, from people she hadn't spoken to in years suddenly interested in her story. She silenced them all and called Ethan. He answered on the first ring. I'm handling it. Legal's already drafting a response. Who leaked this? I don't know yet. But whoever did had access to our private conversations, our timeline. This wasn't just paparazzi. The implication hung heavy. Someone close to them had betrayed them. "I'm coming to your office," Natalie said. "Don't. The building's surrounded by press." "I don't care." She hung up before he could argue. The Westfield Industries lobby was chaos. Cameras flashed as she pushed through, security barely holding back the crowd. Questions screamed from every direction. "Is it true you're just after his money? Did you seduce him to advance your career? How does it feel being the latest in a string of failures?" She kept her head down, let security escort her to the private elevator. In the mirror-smooth metal doors, she saw herself, exhausted, haunted, barely recognizable. Ethan's office was on the top floor, all windows and power. He stood staring at the city, shoulders rigid. "I found out who leaked," he said without turning. "Christina. The London colleague? She sold private emails to the press. Conversations between me and my mother discussing you, our relationship, everything. She claimed it was revenge for me rejecting her, but I think she was working with someone." "Your mother?" "No. My mother's furious. Threatening to sue. But there's someone else. Someone who knew details only a handful of people had access to." Natalie's mind raced through possibilities. Then stopped on one that made her blood run cold. Thomas Wong. Ethan turned. "What?" "The other arranged dinner. We exchanged numbers, told each other we'd buy time with our mothers. What if he wasn't who he said he was? What if he was planted? That's paranoid." "Is it? Your mother admitted she orchestrated things. What if Thomas was part of that orchestration? A backup plan in case you actually fell for me?" Ethan pulled out his phone, made a call. "I need a background check." "Thomas Wong. Everything." He listened, face darkening. "When? Are you sure?" He hung up. "Thomas isn't a Wong. He's Thomas Chen. Margaret's sister's son. My cousin." The room spun. "Your family set me up from the beginning." "Not my family. My mother. And apparently half the board who were concerned about my judgment after the Christina situation." He sank into his chair. "They wanted to prove you were a risk. So they created a scenario where you'd fail. But I didn't fail. We survived. Which is why they escalated. Fed information to Christina, orchestrated the leak. They're trying to force us apart by making the relationship so toxic, so scrutinized, that we'll break under the pressure." Natalie felt something cold settle in her chest. "Then they've won. Because I can't do this, Ethan. I can't live my life under this microscope, never knowing who to trust. So we leave." "What?" "We walk away. From all of it. The company, the families, the expectations. We build something new somewhere no one knows us. You can't just walk away from a billion-dollar empire. Watch me." He stood, came to her. "I've spent my entire life trying to redeem my father's legacy. But maybe the real redemption is choosing happiness over duty. Choosing you over everything else. That's insane. Maybe. But I'm tired of playing their games. Tired of sacrificing what I want for what I should want." He cupped her face. "Come with me. We'll go somewhere quiet, start over. I have enough money that we'd never need to work. We could just be." It was tempting. So tempting. To run away from the scrutiny and judgment, to build a life outside the fishbowl. But it was also a trap. "No," Natalie said quietly. "No. Running away doesn't solve anything. It just proves them right. That we're not strong enough to handle reality, that this relationship is built on fantasy." She pulled back. "If we're going to be together, we have to be strong enough to face this. Not hide from it. So what do you suggest?" "We fight back. Publicly, completely. Tell our story on our terms. That means more scrutiny. More judgment. I know. But it also means taking control of the narrative. Showing everyone that we're not victims or cautionary tales. We're just two people who chose each other despite impossible odds. Ethan studied her face. You're sure? No. But I'm done being scared. They held a press conference that afternoon. Joint statement, both of them standing together, facing the cameras that had been tearing them apart. Natalie spoke first, her voice steady. I'm not here to defend my relationship or justify my choices. I'm here to say that I'm a person. Not a headline, not a gold digger, not a scandal. A person who fell in love and fought to build something real in a world that profits from tearing people down. Ethan continued. My personal life has been used as a weapon by people who claim to care about me. That ends today. I'm setting clear boundaries between my professional and personal life. And to anyone who thinks they can manipulate me through the people I love, you're fired. Questions erupted. They answered some, declined others. It wasn't perfect, but it was honest. Raw. Real. The response was mixed. Some praised their courage. Others doubled down on criticism. But Natalie found she cared less about public opinion and more about the truth. That night, they sat in the penthouse, exhausted and wired. My board called an emergency meeting, Ethan said. They're threatening to remove me as CEO. Can they do that? If they have majority vote. Which they might, given how badly this has damaged the company's reputation. I'm sorry. Don't be. This is their choice, not yours. And honestly, part of me would be relieved. I never wanted to run this empire. I just felt obligated to. What would you do instead? He smiled. Maybe start something new. Something mine. Not built on my father's legacy but on my own vision. That's terrifying. The best things usually are. Natalie's phone rang. Her mother. Mom? I saw the press conference. You were brave, baby. The words broke something open. Thanks, Mom. Your father and I talked. We want you to know, whatever happens with Ethan's company or the press or anything, you have a home here. Always. I know. And we're proud of you. For fighting for what you believe in, even when it's hard. After she hung up, Natalie felt tears streaming down her face. Ethan pulled her close. What is it? My parents. They finally understand. That's good. It's everything. The board meeting happened 3 days later. Ethan came home that evening looking strange. Not sad, not angry. Liberated. They voted to remove me as CEO. Effective immediately. Natalie's heart sank. Oh, Ethan. Don't. This is good. Great, actually. He laughed, and it sounded genuine. I'm free. For the first time in my life, I'm actually free. What will you do? I have some ideas. There's a tech startup I've been watching, doing innovative work in renewable energy. I think I'll invest, maybe join their advisory board. Something that actually excites me instead of just obligating me. And your mother? Disappointed. But also, I think, relieved. She finally gets full control of the company without worrying about my judgment or personal life affecting decisions. They stood together at the windows, watching the city light up as night fell. So what now? Natalie asked. Now we build something new. On our terms. 6 months later, Natalie stood in a small art gallery in the downtown arts district. Her first solo show, paintings she'd created in secret over the years, finally displayed publicly. She'd quit Catalina Digital after the Westfield contract ended, decided to pursue the creative dreams she'd buried under ambition. It was terrifying and exhilarating and completely uncertain. Ethan arrived with flowers, kissed her softly. "Congratulations. Half these pieces won't sell. Then they'll look great in our apartment." "Your apartment? I still have my place." "About that." He pulled a small box from his pocket. Natalie's breath caught. "Before you panic, this isn't a proposal." "Well, not that kind." He opened the box to reveal 2 keys. "I'm buying a house. Nothing ostentatious, just a real home. With a studio for you and an office for me and space for whatever comes next. I want you to move in. Really move in. Make it ours." She looked at the keys, at his hopeful face, at the life they'd built despite everyone's predictions. "Okay," she whispered. "Let's build something ours." The gallery opening was a success. Not huge, but real. People who genuinely appreciated her work instead of her story. Mia came with champagne. Victoria brought her family. Even her parents attended, her father studying each painting with serious attention. "This one," he said, pointing to a piece of 2 figures silhouetted against a city skyline. "This is you and him." "Yes. It's beautiful. Sad but hopeful. That's what we are. Sad and hopeful." He smiled. "Then you've captured it perfectly." As the evening wound down, Natalie and Ethan walked home through the city streets. No cameras, no scrutiny. Just 2 people who'd chosen each other despite everything. "Do you ever regret it?" she asked. "Losing the company, the empire?" "Every day," he admitted. "But then I remember what I gained. You. Freedom. The chance to build something meaningful instead of just managing my father's legacy. Do you think we'll make it? Long term? I have no idea. But I know we're going to try like hell." They reached their new house, still mostly empty but full of possibility. Boxes everywhere, rooms waiting to be filled with life and laughter and love. "Welcome home," Ethan said, carrying her over the threshold in a gesture both ironic and sincere. She laughed, letting him spin her around. "This is insane." "Probably. But the best things usually are." That night, they lay in bed in their new home, tangled together, talking about plans and dreams and possibilities. No certainty, no guarantees. Just the courage to keep choosing each other, day after day, despite the fear and the doubt and the inevitable challenges. "I love you," Natalie whispered into the darkness. "I love you too," Ethan replied. "Whatever comes next, we face it together." "Together," she agreed. And as sleep pulled her under, Natalie felt something she'd been chasing her entire life finally settle into her bones: peace. Not the peace of having everything figured out, but the peace of knowing that whatever came next, she wasn't facing it alone. They'd survived arranged dinners and family drama, NDAs and betrayals, press scrutiny and career upheavals. They'd lost empires and found themselves. They'd learned that love wasn't about grand gestures or perfect moments, but about showing up, day after day, choosing each other even when it was hard. Especially when it was hard. The next morning, Natalie woke to find Ethan already up, making coffee in their new kitchen. Sunlight streamed through windows, painting everything gold. "Morning," he said, handing her a mug. "I was thinking about what your father said. About the painting being sad and hopeful. What about it? I think that's the point. We're not trying to have a perfect, fairy tale romance. We're trying to have a real one. With all the sadness and hope and messiness that comes with being human. And you're okay with that? The mess? I'm more than okay with it. I'm grateful for it." He pulled her close. "Because it means we're alive. Really, truly alive." She kissed him, tasting coffee and promise. What's on the agenda today? Well, I have a meeting with the renewable energy startup. You have that interview with the arts magazine. And tonight, your parents invited us to dinner at Golden Lotus. Full circle. Seems like it. They finished their coffee, got dressed, prepared to face the day. As Natalie grabbed her bag, she paused at the door. Hey, Ethan. Yeah. Thank you. For not giving up on us. Thank you for being worth fighting for. They walked out into the morning together, two people who'd rejected easy paths to forge their own. Who'd chosen love over expectation, authenticity over performance, each other over everything else. The future was uncertain. There would be more challenges, more doubts, more moments of fear. But there would also be joy and growth and the deep satisfaction of building something real. And that, Natalie thought as Ethan took her hand, was enough. More than enough. It was everything. The end. What city are you watching from? Rate this story from 0 to 10 in the comments below.